Greetings, viewers, and thanks for joining me out in the shop today. Got the Tacoma running in the last episode. I hope you're as excited as I am. The only thing that's going to be more exciting now is seeing that thing motivate down the road. Now, this whole procedure moved the transmission mount forward about 2.5 inches. Made the front drive shaft need to be about 2¼ inches shorter, and that's based off my measurements without it being properly completely mounted yet. And in the rear, about 2½ inches difference. So here is the situation. I wish I wrote down what I got these things out of, because like I said, just scrap things and keep everything. I happen to have a drive shaft right there. This is the one that came out of the Tacoma 4-cylinder. This is one I had, the shorter one, on my shelf, and it is 2 inches shorter, so I can compress it or stretch it, compress it another 1/4 inch, and it should work. For the back, once I get my carrier bearing in the right place, this part here, which is the slip yoke that meets the differential, should all fall into place the same, which means this front part of the rear shaft will need to be lengthened. Also, did not write down what I've got. I need 2½ inches. This one is 3. So I'm going to shove my yoke an extra ½ inch depth into here, which is not a problem. So I just got lucky, happened to have these on hand. I got a carrier bearing for that. That's awesome. I haven't got my radiator cap yet. I don't think tape will hold it. I just put that up there to keep crap out. So this may well solve my drive shaft issue. Next issue is this transmission crossmember. Now that is my factory crossmember. This, if you recall, is where I cut them apart and leave a hunk on the other vehicle. I'm going to take my new mount and bolt it on where this old crusty, rusty, nasty mount was. And then I'm going to trim this down with some nice edges, bolt the new mount to this part, put them both up where they go, and then weld some plate onto this, so that I can strengthen it up across the top and the bottom. Of course, being careful not to cover here where my holes go. So I'm going to get started. There's 412s in there that you need to remove to get your mount off. I'm going to bolt my new mount up, get under the truck, bolt it to the vehicle, put them together, take some measurements. Yeah, get some markings on this. I am excited, and I think there's no reason why it won't be just as strong as it needs to be. So, going to get started here. I did bolt my new mount to the old part and put my factory Tacoma mount, crossmember in place. You can see how much different it is. I'm going to grab a couple of plates. I'm going to take a measure, grab a couple plates. I'm going to get under here and I'm going to tack them into place. And then I'll take this whole thing down and take it over to the bench. But you can kind of see exactly what's about to happen here. Easy way to make your own cross member. Whoop, let's get on with it. All right, so I spared you the fabrication montage on this. I cut some metal plates. I welded them on the top. I welded them on the bottom. Yeah, one's bigger than the other two. That is plenty sufficient. It doesn't have to be pretty to work. Could it be prettier? Yes. Would it work any better? No. If this was something that was out where you could see it, I would be more concerned. But this will work exactly perfectly. And this is a homemade, didn't cost any extra cross member, ready to go. So I still don't have my radiator cap or my exhaust collector gaskets there. But if I could get my drive shafts in and my transmission secured, I'm going to go inside and start putting shifters in and see if I can get this thing to move. So let's see where this all goes today. where it ends up ultimately. Our crossmember bolted in, working. I love it. Made that. No money. Drive shafts, the 27-inch one worked just fine here. It's right where it's set in the other vehicle. You can't even tell if it is moved a 1/4 inch one way or the other. Rear drive shaft, changing that. You can see I'm at the end of my adjustment. Maybe you can see it on the carrier bearing, but it did fit and bolt on. So the change up here worked. Hooked up back there. You know what that means. I got a running truck with drive shafts and everything supported on its own right now. I'm going to go inside, hook up the transfer case shifter and hook up the transmission shifter. Okay, now I hope you can see what is going on here. The transmission shifter, the linkage goes down in there at an angle first. I better put that other shifter in though first, since how it goes first. The bushing there in this one is okay, which is good. Nice to see. I put this transfer case in low 1, or two-wheel drive. I'm sorry, two-wheel drive high, not low 1. So it's right in too high where it belongs. This little plate right here next, you got to push it down and then put this little clip on. It's kind of easy most of the time. You can do it with your fingers like that, and yeah, just work it on. This little boot goes back on there. Keep all the dirt and crud out of your shifter mechanism there. That goes through this boot here, down. There we go. I'll just come over here and catch it, run it through. There. See, that was easy after all. This boot has to go all the way down over that. You're supposed to clear to the bottom of it. 6, 7, 8 fasteners. So let me find those. Your transmission plug here. Probably gonna have to get underneath there and get my linkage lined up here real quick. Okay, when you go underneath for your linkage, it doesn't matter if this is in park or reverse or neutral or whatever, because you can move the linkage on the transmission to meet the rod, and then when you get back up in here, just make sure it goes through them all. Of course, once I get her fired up here in just a minute. Yeah, I am really stoked that it is in a position where it's almost ready to move. I still have a lot to do, but I think it's ready to move of its own accord. So I'm going to see if that'll happen here real quick. Oh, I'm so excited. Let's see, does she have brakes? Brakes feel good. The seat's not bolted in. Do that. Yeah, just moving back and forth. All right. It's nice to see it move and have brakes and forward and reverse and start and run. Holy cow. So let me grab the fenders and my fender bolts and just start throwing those on here real quick. You can kind of go by the paint marks on the fender here. I'll line all these up before I bring them down tight. got your light up, your wire up here for your light. That makes me happy. Gonna grab the one for the other side. Bolt the antenna back to its little spot here. Okay, then your inner fenders. Remember all those little plastic square things we popped out of there that you squeezed on the sides? It's time for those to go back in. Go around and put those on where they go. Man, it looks so much better now just having fenders on it. Continuing to have my excitement build here, because this is freaking far out. Watching it come this far. I've spent a lot of time on this vehicle, I can assure you that. And it really is making me happy to see it coming together. Little bits and pieces at a time. Doesn't it just look so much better now, knowing that you can put the key in the ignition and fire it up? Looks like it's supposed to be there under the hood. Of course, inside does not look like that yet, but it's nice to see the shifter in. Putting the dash and stuff back in won't be that bad. So the excitement level is continuing to grow. A few wires to splice. Yeah, I wish I had more information on what drive shaft pieces I had laying around here. The solution for drive shafts for me was as simple as picking through my parts pile. You may have to have yours made, but again, that's just a little detail-y thing I can't really help you with, because I would have just had to send them off and have them made. Anyway, but enough about that for right now. All right, viewers, back again, another day. Fucking cold out today, I assure you. This is the pipe I took off of the Tacoma, and I need this part of it, either from here back, hope you got that in there, from here back to include this, or just from behind it. This is the pipe that came off the 3.4, and that's the 3RZ, the 2.7. So I need to use this one for the 3.4. Yes, I finally did get the freaking correct gaskets after multiple tries. I hope that's in there. These are the ones you need that fit the 3.4. Okay, that's the one that fits here, where these are. It took me 3 tries to get them. Last time I tried to order them, it did too. This pipe is slightly smaller in the bend, so I want to use this piece here. I want to just try to use this little piece here on the end. I got to weld that up. This was a stolen catalytic converter vehicle. I am not the asshole that cut it right there. Trust me on that one. So I'm going to weld that up. Going to get under there and fit this. See where this falls. Since it has to scoot back some, I'm hoping I can just cut that off and put it right on there. I'm going to get to working on that. Play with the dog a little bit. It's colder than shit out here today. Did finally get my radiator cap. Can't believe it took so long to get the radiator cap. But I'm ready for this thing to move beyond just forward and back. I'm going to work on that pipe real quick. I'm going to get under there and see where the flange falls at this point. All right, after getting under there and sizing it up, got my piece cut off the other pipe to put back on. Actually, by doing it this way and putting this piece here on, I can move the exhaust forward, and that'll actually bring the rearmost O2 sensor closer, and that wire was under some stress, so you didn't know that. But now you know why. I'll be happy to have that come forward. Just going to take this and go around with my file some. I want it nice and sideways on there, so it's easy to get to the bolt holes. The flange on the truck pivots, so this doesn't have to be in a particular spot. Oswald's got his coat on. He's digging it. I'd be remiss if I didn't go check this real quick, just to make sure. Nailed it first try. Nice, I'm gonna finish burning that together, put that on the truck. That wire that was sticking up here was for the brakes. The one that was sticking up here, I said I wasn't sure what it was for. Radiator cap is radiator capping. Exhaust finally hooked up and working properly. Yeah, that took me forever to get that hooked up today. So no test drive today as it is late. That 3-hour broken bolt in the exhaust manifold. You see, we went wheeling in the mud. It was messy as shit. My buddy had a rear end that had an issue, so I tore this one apart because it looked to be the same gear ratio. Come to find it, that differential was trashed. Teeth broken everywhere, beat to shit. It is welded. They had 2 different size bearing retainers on, forcing it together. My poor thumb. So anyway, yeah, this rear end is trashed. So, don't know now. Everything changes at a moment's notice around here. Not sure what the next step is for this. I'm going to put the T100 rear end under it and try to make it long travel. What's up with the Lincoln? I was going to try and spin the motor on the Lincoln today, but everything took way too long and way too cold. And enough about that. Not what I'm here to talk about today. Tacoma's running, radiator cap on, exhaust hooked up, finally ready to get out of the garage. Okay, so exhaust hooked up. We're going to try and get this thing out of the garage and see if it won't go down the road for a minute. I did add some more lug nuts. The seat's not bolted in. A few more things, crap in the back. I can't wait anymore. Oswald and I are going to see if we can't get this to go down the road. Pull an Austin Powers and get it out of its place here. I'm very excited. Well, that hadn't been out of that spot in more than a minute. And man, I tell you, it's a good feeling to see it outside. The wiring is still a mess. The seat's not bolted in. Get up in there, babe. Come on. But I got to go around the block. I just watch my feet here. I'll go real slow because nothing's bolted in. but you get to share with me the first drive. And this is super exciting. Oh yeah. Looks like I got my steering wheel right. It looks to be pretty much right on center. I have good brakes. Alright, so now I'm away from home. My speedometer was working and now it isn't for some reason. That's unusual. I wonder why it's not reading. Huh. Okay. Well, I'll have to figure that out. So first initial drive is telling me I don't have a speedometer, but there may be some other thing I just don't have plugged in or mounted yet. I do still have some wires unplugged, like I don't have a fuel gauge. I have no idea how much gas is in here either. I should probably add some. But anyway, we're driving down the road. Transmission is shifting. I don't know why the speedometer isn't working, but that's bugging me. But I bet I get it figured out. Man, this is nice. I am going to wrap this up with I drove it. It runs and goes. Still be a punch list, of course. A lot more to the series on putting it together, doing the final wiring, etc., etc. So much more to come, but I wanted to see it go down the road so bad, and you got to see it with me going down the road. And goes really well. I understand the speedometer. I'm not going to ask that question yet until I get everything else done. Yeah, there's no reason why it shouldn't be hooked up. I think I got all the wires to the transmission hooked up correctly. I may have to check that. No weird smells or anything. It looks good. It goes down the road nice and smooth, nice and straight. Oswald's enjoying the trip as much as me. This is pretty fantastic. So I know this was really splotchy and ended up taking over the course of several days to make this, but well, that's turn signal. I don't have any yet. I don't have any lights wired up at all. My wipers aren't hooked up yet. I'm trying to test things and nothing's working because I'm not finished hooking it up. But I'll figure out that speedo. That's the thing that bugs me the most at the moment. But man, to get it to go down the road, this is so awesome. So great to have it out and moving. I don't even remember when I got this, but it's been a while now, and I'm happy to see it going down the road. Downshifts fine. This is a nice feeling. Now I just got to get it back into its spot, clean up the spot where it was, and put it back and make sure it's not leaking. It's nice to drive it around a little and get it up to temperature. No lights, no license plate, no brake lights, no nothing. I didn't want to drive it too much. I'm going to leave it run while I go clean its spot. All right, viewers, she's back in the shop. Fished it back in. Actually took fewer steps to get it back in than out. Anyway, it's been setting for a little while now. You can see no leaks. That makes me real happy. Drove it around a little bit. You saw a little bit of that. Man, I'm excited to see this project coming to life. It really is exciting to me. I hope this video made sense in some way for some of the little things for hooking up. It has been driven now, so we got wiring left to do, body parts to put on, stereo and rear camera to wire up, couple bugs to figure out. I'm excited, man. I can't wait to get the rest of the wiring done. Next episode's going to be more on the wiring and putting pieces together. Hopefully that's the end of it. I get over there and check my connections on that Speedo. I imagine I forgot to plug something in. I'm not really worried about that. It worked in the other vehicle. It'll work in this one. So I sure appreciate y'all joining me out in the shop today over this little span of time to get this part of the project done. Like and subscribe if you like my show. Like it if you want to see more. Subscribe. Leave comments. Click bells. Hit whistles. Things like that. I appreciate you. Thanks for joining us out here today. Have a super great day.